All right, let's jump right in. We're about to unpack one of the most incredible financial stories on the planet right now. Seriously. It's a story that kicks off with a simple cup of tea and ends up with a system that handles billions of transactions. This is the story of money in modern India.
So, picture this. It's a scene that plays out millions of times every single morning across India. You've got Rajesh, a software engineer, grabbing his morning chai. There's no digging around for coins, no swiping a card and waiting for the machine. Nope, just a quick scan of a QR code with his phone, and boom, done in 3 seconds. It seems so normal, right? But believe me, it is anything but.
And that's really the big question we're tackling here. How did this tiny 10 rupee transaction become a symbol for a full-blown revolution? How on earth did a country with over 1 billion people just completely change the way they use money almost overnight?
Well, to get that answer, we can't just look at the tech. We have to go deeper into the very idea of what money is. This is the story of the 10 rupee revolution.
So yeah, to really get what's happening with that QR code, we have to rewind and ask a super basic question. What is money anyway?
You know, way back before we had money, we just had barter. And barter has this one massive problem, something economists call the double coincidence of wants. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Imagine our guy Rajesh trying to trade his coding skills for a cup of tea. He'd have to find a tea seller who just happens to need a new app built. Good luck with that. It's just so inefficient. Money was invented to fix that exact problem.
And to fix it, anything that we call money, whether it's a shiny silver coin or just a number on a screen, it has to do 3 basic jobs. 1, it's got to be a medium of exchange that everybody agrees to accept. 2, it needs to be a unit of account, so we can price things. And 3, it has to be a store of value, so you can save it and spend it later. But that third one, storing value, that's the tricky part. Because there's this quiet, invisible force called inflation that's always at work. It means that 100 rupee note in your wallet is constantly losing a tiny bit of its power. So stuffing cash under the mattress isn't really saving. It's more like a slow leak.
And here's what that actually looks like in the real world. Back in 2010, 100 rupees could get you about 4 kilograms of onions. Pretty good, right? Well, today you'd be lucky to walk away with 2 kilos. That's half. Your onion buying power got cut in half. That is inflation right there in your grocery bag.
Okay, so keeping those basics in mind, let's take a super high-speed trip through India's money history to see how we got from trading cattle to scanning QR codes.
We've covered a lot of ground, and fast. We went from basic barter to commodity money, coins made of silver that had actual value in the metal itself. Then came representative money, paper notes that were basically IOUs for gold in a vault. And since 1971, we've been in the age of fiat money, which isn't backed by metal, but by our collective trust in the government that issues it.
And that brings us to the most radical jump yet, the digital transformation and the star of our show, UPI. This is where the story doesn't just accelerate, it hits hyperdrive.
You have to remember what digital payments in India were like before 2016. They were clunky. You had slow net banking, credit cards that needed special machines, and all these different digital wallets that couldn't talk to each other. UPI just wiped all that away. It made paying for things online instant, practically free, and doable for anyone with even the most basic smartphone.
The secret sauce to UPI really comes down to these 4 things. But that first one, interoperability, is the absolute game changer. It means your PhonePe app can pay your friend who uses Google Pay instantly, even if you use 2 different banks. It's like a universal translator for money, and it's on all the time, 24/7. So when it first launched, the numbers were, pretty modest. In its whole first year, UPI processed about 17 million transactions. A decent start, for sure, but nobody, and I mean nobody, could have predicted what was about to happen. Because just a handful of years later, that number didn't just grow, it exploded from 17 million to over 13 billion transactions. Not in total, in a single year. That's not just growth, that's a whole new reality. I mean, just look at this growth curve. It is one of the steepest adoption curves for any technology anywhere ever. The volume of transactions grew at a compound rate of over 100%. Think about that for a second. It means the number of transactions was doubling year after year after year. It's just insane. And today, this massive new digital marketplace is really dominated by just a couple of huge players. PhonePe, which is owned by Walmart, and Google Pay together control more than 80% of the entire market. They are processing billions upon billions of these transactions every single month.
Okay, so after that whirlwind tour of history and some frankly mind-boggling numbers, let's bring it all back home. What does all of this actually mean for you and for the money in your pocket?
First things first, and this is super important to remember, cash is not dead, not even close. While the big cities have gone digital in a huge way, out in rural India, cash is still absolutely king. It's used for the vast majority of all transactions. So this revolution has been incredible, but it definitely hasn't reached everyone equally. And now for one final idea, and this one's a bit of a mind-bender. Most of this digital money zipping around, it isn't actually printed by the government. It's created out of thin air by commercial banks every time they make a loan. It's a system called fractional reserve banking. It basically means your bank balance isn't a pile of cash in a vault somewhere, it's an IOU from your bank.
So what's the smartest way to handle your money in this brand new world? Well, the best advice is to diversify your strategy. Use UPI for all those small, everyday payments. It's just too fast and convenient not to. Use your credit cards for bigger online purchases where you want some extra security. And always keep some physical cash handy. It's the ultimate reliable backup.
And that brings us all the way back to where we started, with that 10 rupee cup of tea. It's not just a simple payment anymore, is it? It's the end result of thousands of years of human ingenuity. From barter to coins to paper to a digital promise. All of that history compressed into 3 seconds on a smartphone screen.
Look, we are living through the single fastest transformation of money in all of human history. The very idea of what money is changing right in front of us. And with things moving this fast, the only real question left is, are you ready for what comes next?